In this video, we are going to be looking at SQL Basics, and we are going to be using partition by with row number. And so in this video, like the last video, we are going to be doing a live demo instead of doing anything with just the screenshots here. So I'm going to go quickly to the table that one of the tables that we used last time, and we're going to go to table 1, and that is because in this table we actually had duplicates by letters. We do not have duplicates by all of the columns, and then of course we do not have any duplicates by ID. So if we were to use the row number by partition by, we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll actually demonstrate it here with the ID first, and we will get unique ID, partition by ID, and then we'll do order by ID as well, and we'll call this partition ID. And so if we select this from table 1, what we will see is that we get our partition ID is the same because every single ID is the same. So we are partitioning by the identifier, this ID, I should say, column. And every one of these partitions are unique. There's not two of them. So the way to think about partition is it's like a division, except you're not dividing it by something. You're just seeing how many things, just how many there are of those items that you're partitioning by. So as a case in point, I'm trying to think and type at the same time. Let's do letter, and we'll see that in the case of A, there's two partitions. So we'll do partition ID, we'll do partition letter. In this case, we'll actually have two. I'm going to go ahead and actually turn off this. And so we'll run this. And we'll see in the case of this that there's a second partition. And yeah, I'm ordering by ID, so that makes sense. That the fifth one is going to come up second because it's ordered correctly here. And what we see, of course, again, is everything has one partition except for this. And the reason is because we're partitioning by A, and there's two A's. So there's going to be one partition, and there's going to be two. And just to demonstrate this, let's go ahead and let's insert another record into table 1, and let's insert another one of A. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll duplicate one here. We'll do A, and then let's go ahead and let's actually create a duplicate across the board with the first value. So we insert that, and let's check our table here, and we have that 6 record. All right, now let's look at this, and we'll see now there are 3 partitions. And again, it does order it by ID, and it does, we see this partition by A. So now there's 3 partitions of those because, again, if it looks at each of those A's, it says, okay, we're going to divide these uniquely into categories. There's 3 of them, right? But there's only one B, there's only one C, and there's only one D. Likewise, if we go back to this up here, it's going to be different now because now we have 2 IDs, right? So if I partition by 1, we'll see 1, there's 2 1s, right? And so we'll see, well, with the other ones, there's only 1 2, there's only 1 3, there's only 1 4, there's only 1 5. So when we partition, when we're doing that partitioning, we're dividing it into unique categories, as we see, and we see that these are unique. Now, of course, we can combine columns, and so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to create the duplicate across the board. Let's just do partition all here. So let's call this partition all. And what we're going to do, we're going to order by ID still, but we're going to partition by ID. We're going to partition by letter. Keep the spacing out just to make it simple. And we're going to partition by val. And we actually do have a duplicate across the board. This right here is actually a duplicate. Now in our other example, it's going to look very similar. In our other example, the same, I should say, except for the partition all. In our other example, as we see, it's partitioning by this ID, and there's 2. Well, this is actually the same, though, across the board. So if we run this here, we're going to see we get these. And that's because, again, we have 2 of these values in the table, so it puts it into their own partition. Likewise, if I were to insert this, let's just say 1 2 3. So now we should get 5 values back, 5 partitions, and that's exactly what we get. And we see that. So partition allows us to divide things. It's probably comes up a lot with duplicates, but keep in mind if you're trying to run any query by scale, you might want to partition by something which is repeatable. A good example of that, I can think of one of the ways to do like batches in ETL when I was doing real estate data is we would partition by, let's say, the state. And so we would run batches by that. And so we'd break it up by state and go from there.